because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So I wrote, it was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that.
But it struck me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're
no, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected. Yeah. So the term woke has been, in my view.
But you basically go after Trump and Biden. You know, both of them. And a lot of people are not happy with you about that.
Equally.
Well, not equally, because you know that Trump is doing more dangerous.
Of course. I mean, I don't think anybody was more out front on that danger than I was. Mm-hmm. I was talking about how he was never going to give up power long ago when everybody was laughing at me and said, you smoke too much pot. And I said, I smoke just the right amount of pot. Because finally, new rule. Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it. We are not young, but we don't present as old.
Yeah.
Biden does. I saw him yesterday making that speech.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. He's cadaver-like.
But his brain is good. He's still great.
Bill Maher just did what no one on national TV had the guts to do. He walked straight into the lion's den, looked Whoopi Goldberg and her co-hosts dead in the eye, metaphorically of course, and called them out. Not just for their Trump takes, not just for their obsession with woke, but for the entire echo chamber they've built around themselves, where disagreement is banned and logic gets sacrificed on the altar of outrage. And what happened next? Oh, the internet exploded. The crowd didn't just cheer, they erupted. So what exactly did Bill say that had the left squirming, the viewcast stunned, and social media losing its mind? And is this the moment America finally says enough to the political theater disguised as daytime talk? Grab your popcorn, because Maher just flipped the table. But before we roll into the good stuff, make sure to smash that like button and hit that subscribe. You won't want to miss a single second of what comes next. Did you just subscribe? Legend. Let's get into it. It all started with a topic that's basically The View's favorite punching bag, Donald J. Trump. The co-hosts were doing what they always do. Drama dialed up to 10, faces pulled tight with mock outrage, a roundtable meltdown of rolling eyes, breathless interruptions, and the same tired Trump is the apocalypse narrative they've run into the ground for the past decade. Joy Behar was already ranting about how dangerous it would be if Trump ever set foot in the White House again. Sonny Hostin was busy tossing around the word fascism like it was on sale. And Whoopi Goldberg, she looked like she was waiting to hit the buzzer on a game show where the only category is Orange Man Bad. Then enter Bill Maher. Calm, smug, holding back a smirk, the man who has made a career out of offending both sides of the aisle. He leans forward just a little, clears his throat, and drops a verbal grenade onto the pristine white coffee table. Trump could get reelected, and woke culture is part of the reason why. Boom, the studio didn't just fall silent, it flatlined. You could practically hear the sound of latte foam deflating in the audience. Joy Behar blinked like someone had just slapped her with a cold towel. Her mouth moved, but no words came out. Sonny Hostin did that squinty-eyed lawyer look she pulls when she's about to object to reality itself. And Whoopi? Whoopi looked like she was trying to astral project into another dimension. Bill, completely unbothered, held his position. No smirk, no twitch. Just that dry, almost surgical expression he wears when he knows exactly how hard he's hit and is fully prepared to twist the knife.
But it struck me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're...
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected.
Yeah.
So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term, because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
So why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice. Who's not for that? But words do migrate. Now, I'll use any term you want. because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
or maybe the super far right.
Well, he's talking about the left. Well, they're
okay,
not woke.
but we talked about that. I mean, I think we agree about the danger of the super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a joke. But,
Too dark.
Well, maybe it is.
He clarified slowly and deliberately. No, I didn't say woke is ruining everything. I said it's one of the reasons Trump can win again. The room tensed like a rubber band about to snap. Because what he said wasn't just controversial, it was radioactive. He wasn't denying Trump's flaws. He wasn't defending January 6th. He wasn't saying Trump was a hero. He was saying something way more dangerous to the View's echo chamber. That maybe, just maybe, the left's own blind spots, cultural arrogance, and sanctimonious obsession with being right about everything is what's pushing voters back into Trump's arms. And in that moment, you could feel the walls of the View tremble just a bit. Because deep down, whether they'd admit it or not, they knew he wasn't wrong. The moment Bill Maher dared to suggest that woke culture might actually be helping Donald Trump's chances in 2024, the View's table went from smug to sizzling. And Sunny Hostin? Oh, she went straight into defend the narrative mode. With her signature chin tilt and lawyer tone laced in polite outrage, she cut in and delivered one of her go-to lines, the kind she uses when she's trying to corner a guest intellectually without actually saying anything new.
At best.
Are you at all concerned about the innocent civilians that have been collectively punished and murdered, largely children and women? And are you at all concerned about the fact that the International Criminal Court just today issued a subpoena for Bibi Netanyahu?
Well, that's ridiculous, but it's a war.
Why?
It's a war. Because it's a war, and they were attacked, and they're defending themselves. Now, this is a war. Do you think Hamas needs to be destroyed? This is the question.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So how can we do that with a ceasefire?
All right. So Hamas needs to be destroyed because they are a terrorist organization who say openly that they want to commit genocide on the Jewish people, on the state of Israel. That's what from the river to the sea means. Okay? And they say it very openly. They said, we did this attack. They've attacked Israel 5 times. They've started 5 wars since they were given that land back. They could have chosen to turn that place into any place they wanted to, and they took a lot of money that they took from the international community and they spent it on bombs and guns and building tunnels. So if they need to be destroyed, how do we do that? It's a war. I don't know how to do that, and you don't know how to do that. I assume the Israeli Of course, everybody is, but that's what happens in a war. Here's a way to stop that. Stop attacking Israel.
And stop calling for the annihilation of Israel and all the Jews. They're calling for the annihilation of the Jews.
Woke came from the black community, Bill. It means being alert to injustice. What's wrong with that? Classic View maneuver. Invoke history, pull out the identity politics card, and try to cast doubt on the guest's credibility without having to argue facts. But Bill didn't blink, didn't fidget, didn't even blink hard. He leaned in just enough to let her know he wasn't intimidated, and then delivered a clinical takedown that made the studio audience shift uncomfortably in their seats. I agree, it did come from the black community, and originally it was a good thing, being aware of social injustice. Who could argue with that? But then his voice dropped just a notch, slower, sharper. But words migrate, and now, woke has been hijacked, weaponized, used as a political bat to smack down anyone who dares to disagree. We've reached the point where if you question anything, you're labeled a Nazi. That's not justice. That's not progress. That's madness. Meek, drop. The air in the room went thin. You could see the panic flash across Joy's face, like her teleprompter had just gone dark. Whoopi shifted in her chair. Sunny blinked twice. Then, like clockwork, Joy Behar jumped in to change the subject, or at least try to. She waved off Bill's point and launched into her favorite song and dance. But Trump is more dangerous than Biden. It was her go-to deflection move. When the conversation gets uncomfortable, drag it back to Trump. If in doubt, pivot to panic. And Bill, he nodded. He agreed. Of course Trump is dangerous. I've been warning about that longer than anyone on this panel. But then he pivoted, fast and hard. But don't act like the left is innocent. Don't pretend like one side is flawless while the other is Satan incarnate. And then he dropped a line that hit like a slap across the studio wall. I remember when it was conservatives who hated the Jews. Gasp, like.
But you basically go after Trump and Biden. You know, both of them. And a lot of people are not happy with you about that. I'm
not equally.
Well, not equally, because you know that Trump is more dangerous.
Of course. I mean, I don't think anybody was more out front on that danger than I was. I was talking about how he was never going to give up power long ago when everybody was laughing at me and said, you smoke too much pot. And I said, I smoke just the right amount of pot. Because plainly, I was using the term slow-moving coup before he was elected the first time.
That's right.
I said, this guy is never going to concede power. It's impossible to imagine him going, I lost.
Yeah, can't do it.
That's just not in his nature.
So, but I'm nervous about saying anything against Biden because I feel, not that I have so much power, and you have some more than I do, obviously, but.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Are you afraid that you might, influence people who are on the fence?
I think you lose all credibility. I do. I mean, my bond with my audience has always been, I don't pull a punch.
Yeah.
My bond with my audience is, you're not going to like everything I say, but I'm saying what I really think is true.
Right.
That's.
Yeah.
Okay. And look. Biden just presents as old. It's not really fair.
No.
Because he's almost the same age. Trump is almost the same age as him.
I know.
But Trump doesn't present that way. You look at somebody right away, you can kind of just sum them up. I mean, we are not young, but we don't present as old.
Yeah.
Biden does. I saw him yesterday making that speech.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. He's cadaver-like.
But his brain is good. He's still great.
Well, here's what I said. Like, when I came back after the strike in September, I said, he should get out. Because he's just lost the faith of people. It's not fair. He's actually done a pretty good job. Yeah. But I said, he's going to be Ruth Bader Biden. That's the term I used. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She stayed too long at the fair. Yeah. I remember Obama had her over to the White House, like in 2013, to hint, hey, spend more time with the grandkids. That would not be a good idea, Ruth. And she didn't take the hint, and she was not in good health, and she stayed too long, and she ruined her legacy and got the Supreme Court now to be.
The audience froze. Joy's eyes widened. Sonny looked visibly uncomfortable. And Whoopi? She let out a nervous laugh that didn't land. Now, to be clear, it was a joke. One of Bill's dark, edgy jabs meant to spotlight hypocrisy, not endorse hate. But the timing? Savage. Because what Bill was saying, without saying it outright, was that tribalism and hate aren't bound to one side, that the far left has become so allergic to criticism, so insulated in their bubble of moral superiority, that they can't even hear when someone's trying to help them save themselves. And The View? They had no comeback. Because in that moment, Bill Maher didn't just win the debate. He exposed the very echo chamber they were spinning in. Now here's where things got straight up nuclear. Bill Maher, already on a roll, paused, leaned forward, and did the one thing the ladies at The View never expect from a guest. He stopped playing nice. And then, he dropped the roast of the year. No notes, no stumbles, just vintage Maher precision. You know what I've noticed about the far left? They've become addicted to outrage, like toddlers who didn't get the toy they wanted, and now they're throwing their cereal across the kitchen. Boom! The studio gasped, but Bill wasn't done, not even close. He turned toward the panel, not with aggression, but with that signature smirk that says, you know I'm right, even if it stings. We used to fight for civil rights, for equality, for real progress. Now, you fight over tweets. You cancel people over decade-old jokes. You treat disagreement like violence and silence like complicity. The audience didn't know whether to clap or breathe. And then came the quote, the one that instantly trended online and had millions replaying the clip. Here's a tip: when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging with a hashtag. Ouch. But the real scorcher? It came next. Bill took a breath, glanced sideways, and casually launched a grenade into the echo chamber. You've got people wearing Queers for Palestine shirts, while simultaneously telling us you can't define what a woman is. Gasps, laughter. One audience member literally choked on their coffee.
Finally, new rule. Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it. Yeah. Yeah, I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, I mean person who menstruates. You're the teachers' union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person.
And then Maher hit the punchline like a surgeon with a scalpel. This isn't progress, it's parody, and somehow you don't even see it. That moment, pure television gold. The View's panel was frozen solid. Joy Behar sat slack-jawed, blinking like she'd been hit by a wind tunnel of facts. Sunny Hostin looked like she wanted to say something, anything, but her lips wouldn't move. And Whoopi, she just stared ahead, blinking fast, as if rebooting her internal system like a 2002 laptop running on fumes. The audience? Silent. And then, one lone laugh broke out from the back. Then another. And finally, a wave of nervous chuckles and stunned applause rolled through the studio like a truthquake that couldn't be stopped. Because no matter where you sit on the political spectrum, when someone says what everyone's secretly thinking, you listen. And Bill Maher, he didn't just call them out. He exposed them. He shined a spotlight on the broken script that The View and so much of the progressive media cling to, where every guest must either nod, agree, or be labeled a monster. But Bill? He didn't play along. He showed up, pulled out the receipts, and let the contradictions speak for themselves. It wasn't just a monologue. It was a moment of reckoning. And The View? They never saw it coming. And just when you thought Bill Maher had said the most controversial thing possible, he doubled down.
It's become like a royal family that, because of so much incest, has unfortunately had children who are retarded. And the same thing can happen to ideas if they are also conceived in an atmosphere of intellectual incest. Maybe take the clothespins off your noses and actually converse with the other half of the country. Stop screaming at people to get with the program and instead make a program worth getting with.
Brace yourself, because this next moment, it shook that studio to its core. Bill Maher, yes, the famously liberal, pot-smoking, no-filter, anti-Trump atheist comedian, did something that no one on daytime TV dares to do. He defended Trump voters. Not Trump. Trump voters. Let that sink in. Right there on the couch of the most liberal talk show in America, Maher said what every Democrat in denial needed to hear. I've heard a lot of people on the left say we need to stop calling Trump voters stupid, but what they really mean is stop saying it, not stop believing it. Boom! You could feel the energy shift. Whoopi sat up like she misheard him. Joy Behar, her smile twitched, like her facial muscles couldn't decide whether to laugh or snarl. Sunny Hostin? She looked like someone just spilled cold water in her lap. And Maher, he just kept going. He wasn't defending racism, or conspiracies, or January 6th. He was defending the millions of Americans who feel ignored, belittled, and insulted every single day by a political elite that sees them as backward, dumb, or disposable. And let's be honest, he wasn't wrong. You don't win elections by calling half the country morons. You don't unite people by mocking their jobs, their towns, their accents, or their churches. He said what so many are too afraid to say on national television. It's not just Trump who radicalized voters. It's the smugness of the left. It's the refusal to admit, hey, maybe we messed up too. Silence. Then applause. Real applause. Not polite golf claps. We're talking full-throated, stunned audience applause. Even the crowd, made up of die-hard fans of The View, couldn't deny that Maher had just lit up the truth like a 4th of July firework. And the irony? The people who preach about empathy, inclusion, and tolerance, the panel of The View sat frozen, unable to show any of it. Because empathy's easy when it fits your narrative. But when someone dares to say, hey, maybe not all Trump supporters are evil monsters in red hats, suddenly the tolerance vanishes. And Bill Maher knew that. He stared directly at the camera, at us, and gave a reality check that echoed far beyond that studio. I don't like Trump, never have, never will, but calling everyone who voted for him stupid? That's not strategy, that's surrender. And in that moment, he wasn't speaking to The View. He was speaking to America, to every voter who's been told they're ignorant, to every middle-class worker who's been laughed at for loving their country, to every family who's been called racist because they didn't vote blue. It was powerful, it was real, and most of all, it was needed. Because Maher didn't defend hate, he defended reality. And for once, the audience applauded the truth, even if it hurt. If you thought the studio had already taken enough hits, Bill Maher wasn't even halfway done. Because after torching woke culture, clapping back at Trump hypocrisy, and defending middle America, Maher turned his flamethrower towards someone the liberal media shields like royalty, Joe Biden. And what came next was savage. You want to know Biden's real problem? Maher asked, leaning forward like he was about to deliver the punchline of a really dark joke. He just looks old. That's it. That's the tweet. Cue the visible squirming. Now, don't get it twisted. Maher wasn't mocking age. He wasn't throwing shots for fun. He made a brutally honest point that everyone knows, but no one in the liberal echo chamber wants to say out loud. Trump's basically the same age, but Trump doesn't present as old. Biden does. I watched him give a speech yesterday, and I swear, it was like watching a cadaver read cue cards. Ooh! You could feel the tension ripple across the view's set, like someone just opened a portal to the truth dimension. Whoopi shifted in her chair. Joy's grin faded into the kind of tight-lipped smile people make when they're trying not to throw up. Sunny, she started blinking like a windshield in a thunderstorm. But Maher wasn't done, not even close. He went on to say that this staying too long thing, we've seen it before. Enter Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She had a chance to bow out gracefully, Maher said, voice steady, no punchlines this time. Obama tried to nudge her out, gave her the hint, you've done enough, time to go, and she didn't take it. He paused. And now, the Supreme Court is red for a generation. Silence. Because that right there was the point. He wasn't making fun of Ruth, he was warning Democrats. Biden's walking into the same trap. He's done a decent job, but people have lost faith. Not because of what he says, but because of how he looks when he says it. And honestly, he's not wrong. There's a reason even Biden's own voters are nervous. You can spin polls, clip sound bites, and cut campaign ads to make anyone look presidential. But live speeches don't lie. Leadership isn't just policies, it's presence. And when the president shuffles out looking like the end credits of a documentary, people panic. He didn't push aside. He pushed a truth no one else wanted to say out loud. We've lost the plot, and if we don't stop now, we'll bury the whole show. This wasn't about being Republican or Democrat. It was about being real. It was about someone finally saying what millions have been yelling at their screens for years. And The View and PBS and NPR, silent. No statements, no comebacks, no witty replies. Because when the house is on fire and someone finally yells, hey, maybe stop lighting matches, you don't argue. You either put out the fire or you burn with it. Alright, now it's your turn to weigh in. Did Bill Maher finally say what we've all been screaming into the void? Was he right to roast The View, PBS, NPR, and the woke circus? And is this the long overdue wake-up call the media and the country desperately needed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want all of it. The rants, the agreements, the disagreements. Let's hash it out. And hey, before you go, smash that like button if you believe in calling out hypocrisy. Subscribe for more bold commentary, savage truth bombs, and breakdowns the mainstream won't dare touch. Share this video with someone who still thinks Joy Behar is the voice of reason. Because Bill Maher just handed mainstream media their report card, and it's not looking good. We've got more coming, more heat, more truth. So stay tuned. Because if this is what TV finally looks like when someone tells the truth, we're just getting started. See you in the next one.